What do you love about this business?
I love the people, the creativity, the highs and the lows. I mean, it's an absolute bloody roller coaster managing an agency. One day is just like the best day ever, and the next day can be an absolute car crash of painful. So it gives me so much energy. We did something for cancer research, Yorkshire Cancer Research. We've done campaigns for that have actually changed and saved lives. That sort of stuff is so much better than just selling widgets.
In today's digital age, reputation is everything. Whether you're launching a startup, scaling a business, or simply navigating the ever-changing landscape of social media, how the world sees you can make or break your success. But how do you control the narrative when a single tweet can ignite a PR crisis or when a blog post can skyrocket your brand's credibility? Or better yet, who do you even call when you're in full-blown crisis? Well, my name is Nicholas Haluski, and welcome to another episode of Nickonomics. This is the show for entrepreneurs and wantrepreneurs who are curious to learn how other businesses work. Now, over the past 5 years, my companies have generated over $100 million in revenue and created millions of dollars of shareholder value. And on this show, I let my curiosity drive as we interview successful entrepreneurs and ask them to walk us through exactly how their business works. So whether you're an experienced business owner or just starting out, Nickonomics is your place to learn. And on today's episode, we are exploring the business of crisis management with Chris Norton. Chris is the host of Embracing Marketing Mistakes, one of the largest marketing podcasts in the UK, and has seen it all. He's also the founder and CEO of Prohibition PR, a public relations and social media agency based in the UK. They manage reputation, launch products, handle crises, and engage in content marketing and social media management. We'll dive into how Chris has helped brands navigate the unpredictable world of PR, why he believes in the power of authentic storytelling, and the lessons he's learned from both the triumphs and disasters in his career. But most importantly, I just want to know, what are the essential steps every entrepreneur should be taking to safeguard their brand's reputation in this digital age? Big thank you to Chris. He was engaging. You are not going to want to miss this one. Let's dive in together. Okay, guys, we're going to get back to the show in just 1 second. But first, a message from a sponsor who is me. Oh, it's me because I'm doing the show for free. Listen, I want to give you $100. All you have to do is this. Go to Apple or Spotify. Give me 5 stars. Write a review. Screenshot that review. Send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Every 4 episodes, I am going to choose a winner at random, and I'm going to do this 5 times. $500 for 5 stars. I just made that up, and it's what I'm calling it. Please go to Apple or Spotify, leave a review, screenshot it, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, Chris, welcome to Nickonomics from across the pond. I'm super excited to have you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Nick. Thanks for having me on. Delighted to be here from sunny, not the UK. 18 degrees in the UK.
Oh, my goodness. Well, for many of us in the United States, we're going through a heat wave right now. Las Vegas just hit like 121 degrees, which was nuts. So for those listening, would you just give us a quick hitter of what is your business and how do you make money?
Okay, so we're a public relations agency. Well, public relations and social media agency, and we're based in a place called Yorkshire in England, UK. And Yorkshire is the biggest region. Public relations, I've got a team of 30 consultants. Like I say, we're the biggest PR agency, depending on which year you're looking at it, in the region in Yorkshire. And a PR agency, what they do is they predominantly manage reputation for a company. So they'll help launch. So for people that are listening to this, they're entrepreneurs looking to launch a business. If you want to work with a PR agency, they can help you launch a product into a market. They can help you get coverage in the press, on broadcast, on radio. They can get you interviews on podcasts, and they can manage your reputation. And to be honest with you, most people think of PR agencies as the people that create press releases and get market brands, but also they can really look after you if the proverbial hits the fan, because that's when people really need a PR agency, because we advise on the best steps to avoid getting negative stories all about you. And, you know, that's why a lot of politicians have PR people next to them. I won't mention politics on here. And yeah, so basically that. And then there's also a so Prohibition, the agency that I run in Leeds, we've got social media, because I did social media. I was one of the first people on Twitter in the UK. I was in the first 50 people on Twitter in the UK.
Really?
Yeah, so which is quite a thing.
Wow,
Just
congratulations.
just means I'm really old. And none of us had a bloody clue what we were doing with it. I remember, long time ago, and when it was called the Facebook, and I helped a politician and his team use social media when nobody knew how to do it, before influencers, before everything, before you could Google stuff and knew how it all worked. So since then, I created Prohibition, which is public relations, social media, content marketing, and video and design and all that. So we do quite a lot of stuff. We don't do predominantly creative ads and stuff like that. We have done some stuff that you might see on TV, but yeah, predominantly our core focus is press releases, social media content, and great videos.
That's interesting. You have 30 consultants under you. That's a big team, Chris.
It's big for here. So in Leeds, like I say, we're either first or second, depending on who you look at, because there's a couple of similar agencies. But in London, I mean, there's London is the epicenter. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, London is the epicenter of public relations in the UK.
Sure.
In the UK, it was pre-COVID, and now everything's gone a bit more regionalised because we can do what we're doing now, which is talk face to face, and clients don't really care where you're based, especially if you're £2,000 or £3,000 a month cheaper to work with somebody based in Leeds that can do just the job. So yeah, that's kind of. But an agency in Leeds, 30 is big, but an agency in London, what blimey, you could have 400 consultants.
I appreciate the humility, but building an agency to the size where you have 30 team members that you're working with, that's a really large team. I think one of the things that's surprising to me though about PR is I always think of PR as, oh, the crap hit the fan. I did something stupid, something leaked. But the way you described it is you're also handling just any of their public persona or public profile, right? Like managing social media, helping them with campaigns, those types of things.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
I was at college and I did business studies, and I loved marketing. And I said, I'm going to apply for marketing courses to my head of the course that was on for university. And she said, have you thought about public relations? To which I said, what's that? I was only 18. What's that? And she said, it's all about media relations and getting in the press and broadcast. And I was like, oh, that's very exciting. The newspapers and the broadcast were much more powerful than they are today. Like social media's the new, depending on how you see it. I went on to an open day, went along, and so I did a degree in public relations initially. I did a degree in it, and then I left the degree and had to get a job in London. And there was like 300 people applying for this agency in London. It was a top 10 agency in London. And it was interesting because there was people sat around me. It's Chris from Harrogate in Leeds, which is a small place in the UK. And I was sat in this queue of graduates. There was 100 people applied for each role. And the person next to me was from Cambridge University. The one that side of me was from Oxford University. And they were only taking 10 people. And I got the job because I walked in and they went exactly that. What they said, the interview question was, "You want to do in PR?" And I went, "Well, I've already been doing it over a year. Here you go. Here's all my examples of all the work." And they were like, wow, we've never seen, because my course was quite new and nobody was qualified in PR. So yeah, it was a lucky break. It wasn't that I was the best candidate. There were some really clever people, and so that's how I got into it.
That's awesome. I mean, I always feel like anybody who thinks that luck didn't play a major role in their success is probably somebody I don't want to be friends with. I just think serendipity plays such a huge role in how we got our start or a big break or et cetera. I'm not saying that people don't work hard. I'm not saying you don't put yourself in a position to be lucky. But when you look back on your life and you think about, man, I had one of the first schools to major in public relations, and then I go and interview for this position and I'm not qualified when you look at the candidates, to your left and your right. But because you had that experience, it sets you apart. Yes, lucky for sure, but you also worked hard and put yourself in that situation.
I'll tell you what was lucky. When the interview went, this guy loved me in the interview, which I was quite shocked by. And then he said, I'm just going to get my boss. And the boss walked in and he said, I don't care what you know. Just tell me who your favourite football team is. In the UK, that's a big thing. Now, if I'd have said any team, it could have got me in. And I went, Liverpool. And he went, you're hired. Because he was a Liverpool fan. Now that is luck. Because if I had said Manchester United, he said I wouldn't have given you the job. So there you go.
Oh my! Read the room. Chris figured it out. First day as a public relations, he knew the right answer to say. It's awesome.
Yeah.
You started working for this agency, and were you doing the things that you're currently doing now? Like, were you looking at placing people in interviews? I mean, obviously they weren't the podcasts back then or YouTube or social media. Those were just starting out. But is that the role you were playing, or were you like focused on one specific vertical of PR?
Yeah, so how it works is, back in the day, you used to use the phone. This really crazy modern thing that you pick up and ring people, and you have to say hi, and you have to pitch a story.
When you do this, which is, the phone symbol with your hand, my kids have no idea what that is.
Do you want a drink? Do you want a drink? Yeah, exactly.
My kids are like, what's going on here? I'm like, you guys have no idea. That's a phone.
Yeah, that's a phone. I know. I saw on social media the other day, it said, "This how we blocked people in the 80s," and it was just a phone off the hook. It's true, that, isn't it?
That's right.
I was like, that's brilliant. I forgot the question.
Sorry. I was asking, when you started out, were you focusing on, what verticals were you focusing on within
the
that
tasks?
space?
Yeah. So when I started out, so agencies work, they're quite similar structures. So you usually have account execs, so they're graduates, and people usually do 1 to 2 to 3 years as an exec. Then you become a senior exec, then you can become a manager, and they manage the execs and they manage the clients. And then you can do 3 to 5 years in a management role. Then you can go to a director role, which is more about client handling, client services. So business development and winning clients. That's essentially how the structure in the UK. It might be slightly different in America, because America, you've got vice president. You love a vice president in America. I see a lot of that in marketing. And so, so I started out as an account exec, and weirdly, I was, this is quite entertaining. So I was doing press releases, writing press releases during the day, using Word and everything that existed. Google had just come out. So there was a BBC website.
Did you just say using words and everything that existed?
Using Word, Microsoft Word.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, well,
not a typewriter.
You're using words for your press release, but
this is like this. I'm talking 2000. So year 2000, and so we do that in the morning, and then the afternoon you'd get all your press releases, stories for all your clients. So we had Lucent Technologies, we had big. We even had PlayStation and all sorts of stuff. And what we would do is fold them up into threes, and you got scored on how good you could fold paper, and then put it into envelopes, carry them downstairs to the post room, and actually put them through the franking machine to put them in the post bag.
Oh my gosh.
None of that happens anymore. So now you just send an email out. It's just crazy.
It is interesting to think about just how far technology has come, and that in and of itself, how much time has that saved across thousands of people in that industry? How many man hours or human hours has that put back into the workforce? It's crazy.
People that have worked in this industry, anybody that, if you've printed out 150 press releases and you're sending them out, the worst thing is when you get to 86 and then suddenly see there's a typo in paragraph 2 and go, I'll be right. Nowadays, you can delete and edit, but then you were like, oh no, I've printed out 300 of these. So I'd say it takes about a couple of hours sending stuff to post. And then I was always amazed by the technology where you put something in one end and it came out the other. Fax machines, they still amaze me even now.
Has the speed of technology changed public relations? Because do you know who Anthony Weiner is?
No.
Okay, I'm going to describe like every disgraced politician, but he was a politician in New York who was sending pictures of his wiener. Even his name really was Anthony Weiner.
As well?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was, the
Topical.
cherry on top.
Yeah.
To women, right? And he's married, and I think some of them ended up being underage girls, whatever. But 30 years ago, for a woman to come forward wasn't as easy, right? Maybe they have to contact Gloria Albright and she comes out, or whatever her name is, and she comes out and she represents them. But now they can do a social media post, or they can make an allegation online and it, catches fire. Has that changed the landscape for public relations at all?
Massive. Like social media, well, that's why I set up Prohibition. Social media, I was involved in the first social media campaign in the UK. That was one of my things. But you've got social media that came out, nobody knew. I was advising Sony at one point, and then we were going to do an influencer campaign, and they had no idea what we were talking about. We didn't call them influencers, we called them bloggers, and we were sending out a load of phones that had a keyboard, and what you did was you got your phone and you slid it, and you had its keyboard. And at the time, that was cutting edge technology. Now you can just use your screen, can't you? And at the time we were advising them, and they were like, oh, so you're telling me that if we send this out, people can then have an opinion on it and write what they actually think? And we're like, yeah, that's how it works. The game has changed. Like, you can't control. It used to be you own the medium, the press release. You send it out. You deal with the journalist. It's fairly controlled. Whereas now you send it out and anybody can write anything, because journalists sit to a code of conduct, whereas bloggers and all sorts don't. And then you've got AI coming out, and you've got the era of disinformation. You've seen that with your election right now. You've seen it. England have just very recently got to a final of a European football tournament, and there's so much disinformation and deep fake videos of the England coach swearing and making jokes, and they're all fake. All of it's fake, but you can't. There's that much stuff on TikTok, and it's like, it's brands and companies have got to deal with that, and some of them benefit from doing fun, outtakes and videos and TikToks and stuff. But some people, if you get attacked by somebody and it's not even true, that can be a big problem as well. So disinformation is a big issue for quite a lot of corporates, and I've had several people on our podcast talking about it, how it's the biggest threat to companies for reputation. Disinformation, or hacking is another one.
I have a question about the UK. In the United States, we have a very entrepreneurial, not ethos, I don't know what the right word is, but culture, I guess you could say. We have this thing called the Small Business Administration, where you can get a loan to buy a business for as little as zero money down, many times 5% down, and the government will guarantee that loan. And it just makes the underwriting process a lot easier to buy and start a business.
That's cool.
But for whatever reason, I always think it's harder to do that in Europe, harder to do that in the UK. There's probably some propaganda I've consumed, but there's also probably some truth to it. How did you start this business, right? Because, like, again, to me, I'm thinking you're in the UK. People don't usually start businesses unless they've inherited them, maybe from their families. But you've built a good-sized business. What was your thought process in spinning out, and how did that work?
Quite easy. So basically, not easy. quite simple.
Like, wow, I'm an idiot.
Oh, easy. Yeah, easy. I did it yesterday. No, so I was having a child. I just had a little baby. Not me personally, my wife, but we'd had a little baby boy, and I needed to be around a bit more. My employer was not as flexible as I wanted, and I wanted a bit more flexibility. This is before flexible working and everything like we've got now. And so I went freelance, part-time freelance. Then I started doing full-time freelance, and literally nearly had burnout. So freelance is great because you get to meet amazing people. They go, Chris, I really want to work with you. Can you launch my business? I'll go, yeah. Can you help me with this? Yeah. You say yes to everything, and I was making much more money than I'm making now. But then I was working 70, 80-hour weeks, working for loads of different clients. And it was just, you go on a holiday because you didn't have a team, you didn't have someone managing it. So it became a bit too much. So I ended up thinking, right, instead of, I'm going to have to start hiring people. And then slowly but surely, I started to put the things together. I haven't always got it right. Like the key thing in what we do, you're dealing with people. So you want good, creative, clever, smart people that can advise you on, that give you the best advice. That's what you want in PR. You want really good quality people, not cheap people. Cheapest is not best. It has been tough, but I've built up, my team's brilliant now. Yeah, I've got a great team. I've got the best team I've ever had.
How did you launch that first business? So you said you started doing freelance work. Were you getting people coming to you saying, hey, can you work on this project? And so you thought, oh, I can be flexible, right? Like, how did that process work?
I have got an answer to that. Right, okay, so obviously back in the day, social media was just, it was just coming out. That you've got to imagine the period, I think we're talking like 2007, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
I started this business about 13, 14 years ago, but a few years before that, I was working freelance. So I had, while I was in social media in the early days, created a blog. Right? And I created a blog, and it was called Dead Dinosaur. Dead Dinosaur, because don't be a dinosaur, otherwise your business will die without this new technology. That it was just off on a whim, and it used to be I'd write every day, like you're doing with the podcast, regular. I'd write every day, and actually my blog became really, really popular, and I started to get my articles started appearing in PR Week, which is the UK's magazine for the PR industry, quite regularly, like weekly, which was quite a bit of a thing because I was like, I better stop having quite so much opinion in case I get sold up. And a couple of times I did. Yeah, so it became like the dinosaur blog, and then people started messaging me to my blog, can I have a comment for this? Or can you help me with this campaign? And it was like strategic social media campaigns. So I started helping people. And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm making quite a bit of money here. And then, so I turned my blog into a bit more of a website and launched my business. And slowly but surely, we transformed.
So why did you start doing the blog? Was it because you saw that, hey, there's an opportunity here for me to start getting business? Or was it just, I liked writing about this stuff and I thought it was new and I wanted to test it out?
So I started blogging because basically we saw that word of mouth marketing in America was becoming massive. So it was like people recommending, it was like TripAdvisor, the birth of TripAdvisor and all that era. And word of mouth marketing was the thing that everyone was talking about. It's the old AI. It's like, oh, this is amazing. People can actually recommend products and buy things, and that's like the given, isn't it? Now it's like,
Right.
It's no longer people anymore. It's going to be AI that's recommending your products. And so, what we did, I saw that trend breaking in America. So I thought, right, I'll start something that updates all the technology that's coming out. And out comes MySpace. MySpace was actually out, but there was like something called Friends Reunited before then. Then there was the Facebook that came out. And then there was so many like Friend Feed. Oh God, there was millions. Loads of social media. Loads of. There must have been 150 social media.
What was the Google one? Google.
Buzz. Google Buzz. Do you remember that? Then there was Google Wave as well.
Yeah, Google Buzz and Wave, but then there's one more. I want to say like Spaces. No, it wasn't Spaces. Anyways, but yes.
Circles.
Circles?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, Google tried to take it on. It was one of them was quite good actually. Google Buzz died. It was a Twitter copycat, basically like Threads, but it wasn't ready. But there was some great products that came out. Vine came out with micro videos.
I remember
Vine. That's now become TikTok, obviously.
Yeah, now they're
died and it came back.
That part is crazy. If I was the owner of Vine, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I was 5 years too early.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, literally, they were just their timing was off, which is nuts.
And then they've got up to more modern times. And honestly, I've seen the whole life cycle of all social, because that's right back in the day. And then right up to 2-3 years ago, Clubhouse came out. And everybody was talking about Clubhouse was going to be the new. And the reason why I'm talking about this with you is because each channel has got a role to play if there's an audience behind it, podcasts being one of them. There's entrepreneurs listening to this. If there's a role that one of these channels can play to an audience that you're serving, then it's the right channel for you. But you've got to do that channel correctly. So TikTok is all about fun. If you're a really boring accountant, you're going to have to do some fun videos about some part of your business that's going to be of interest. But maybe that's the wrong audience. But I've seen some real quirky people doing some wacky stuff on TikTok. But maybe that's not the channel for you. Maybe it is LinkedIn. It's a bit of more of a serious platform. So we do tons of LinkedIn training for big corporates or small businesses that have got like teams, and they all want to make their staff into like influencers in their own right. So like you with your podcast, maybe you've got 10 people underneath you. We train all 10 of them how to make the most of their own personal brand and how to spread out reputation. So those 10 people for that company suddenly become 10 different mini brands, if you like, micro brands.
You're fascinating. I love talking to you because you are one of the few, like not one of the few people, but few people have actually spanned the time when they remember dial-up, right?
Yeah, I do remember dial-up.
If anybody who grew up in that era and hears that sound, they know what that is. And and now you're dealing with AI. But
I'm like Yoda.
You are Yoda.
Yeah. Old and decrepit. Anyway, I won't do an impression. So carry on.
3 times a day you must tweet.
You've done it. There you go.
I did it. Somebody had to do it, Chris. I stepped into the breach and took it on.
Okay, guys, we're going to get back to the show in just 1 second. But first, a message from a sponsor who is me. Oh, it's me because I'm doing the show for free. Listen, I want to give you $100. All you have to do is this. Go to Apple or Spotify. Give me 5 stars. Write a review. Screenshot that review, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you will be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Every 4 episodes, I am going to choose a winner at random, and I'm going to do this 5 times. $500 for 5 stars. I just made that up, and it's what I'm calling it. Please go to Apple or Spotify, leave a review, screenshot it, send it to me, nick@cofounders.com, and you'll be entered to win a $100 Amazon gift card. All right, let's get back to the show.
How do you manage all of that? And especially as a business owner, like let's talk to a business owner who's not in the PR space. You're looking, there's Threads and there's TikTok and there's YouTube, and there's not just YouTube, but there's YouTube Shorts and there's Instagram. And how do you know what the best channel is for you? And how do you go about optimizing that?
What I say to small businesses is the same as what I say to big businesses. If we're doing like a training session or a strategy for a client, we'll say like, why are you on this channel? And they'll go like, our industry is very competitive, and our competitors are all they're all. I'm going, no. You're not listening to me. Why are you on this channel? And they go, I don't know. And I go, yeah, okay, ditch that. Why are you on this? Okay, that's because these people read that. So I'll give you, for instance, why is Prohibition, my agency, on Instagram? I ever had one customer call me and go, hi, Chris, I've just seen your latest Instagram post. I'd love to hire your agency. They're brilliant. No, absolutely not. But have I had 25 CVs in the last year from people that want to come and work for the agency because they've seen a campaign we've done locally? Yeah, loads. So different channel, different reason. LinkedIn, tons of people, tons of work through LinkedIn. I've seen your podcast, Chris, or I've been on your website, I've seen your blog, whatever it is. Then they message you on LinkedIn. Nobody seems to email these days, do they? So LinkedIn, Twitter used to be, or X as you guys call it now, or does anyone call it that yet? Yeah, exactly. That used to be the platform for new business, but now not really. So I would say pick a channel or two, have an objective for that channel. It can be different for each one. And think about the audiences. They're different audiences. They do different things. I'm doing it currently with my podcast now, where I've got to think that the podcast videos that we do are different to a social media video on that channel. The social media video that you put out about your episode will be the story in its entirety, rather than just a clip that you might put out on, I don't know, on YouTube, for instance, like a little short. It actually needs to be the full story of what happened to Chris when he got the job.
The thing I love you're hitting on is something I talk about a lot, is everything starts with why. Like, what's your motivation? And then from why you can craft a plan. And I think you're hitting on the head. If you're a business, you need to be thinking about, okay, what's my brand? What am I trying to attract? And then what are the channels of distribution for that? You talked about you're on Instagram, not because you're trying to get customers, but because you get a lot of people who apply for your company.
Yeah.
And that's your strategy on Instagram is probably different than your strategy on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And it's a thoughtful approach to it. I have an example. I started a year ago today, actually. It's my 1 year anniversary of trying to grow on Twitter. And
happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a hard year. I love joking around and making jokes. And so around Christmas, I put out this tweet that said, this year I gave my wife a $50,000 bonus and she could spend it on whatever she wanted. And I told her I wouldn't check her bank account this month. And it was like tongue in cheek, these guys who are bragging about how much money they have and, how they let their wives do things. And I started getting followers from it. People were like, oh, this is amazing. Wow, you're such, this is really cool. And I had to think like, okay, I know I like to make those jokes, but that's not the type of audience that I want to attract.
No.
But sometimes we just don't even do the thought exercise of, okay, what am I putting out there and what types of people am I trying to attract?
And also you're trying to attract the same, like if everyone copies everybody, you're going to do this, you're not going to get anything, are you? You've got to have an opinion. You've got to be interested. What is very different to what your opinion, you're completely an individual. Whoever's listening to this now, wherever you're sat, driving, whatever you're doing, you are a brilliant, clever person with expertise in your own right. You have a completely different view on the world to me, to Nick, to whoever it is. Do you see what I mean? So why do we have to all be homogenous and do the same things on those social media channels? That said, don't get yourself cancelled. I do work in reputation. So just be careful, kids.
Well, and what a boring life, man. I would hate that. I would be trapped every single day trying to figure, well, did I say that the right way? Or I don't want people to know my actual opinion on certain things. Now, again, if your opinion is that women should be, I don't know, handmaidens, then yeah, you probably shouldn't spout that stuff off on social media. But everybody has a point of view. As long as you're a reasonable, thoughtful person and you can articulate a point of view that somebody else can at least understand, I think it's good to voice kind of where you stand. I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay, yeah,
Are you ready?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. What do you love about this business?
I love the people, the creativity, the highs and the lows. I mean, it's an absolute bloody roller coaster managing an agency. One day is just like the best day ever, and the next day can be an absolute car crash of painful. But it gives me so much energy. The creative people that I work with, and a lot of clients as well, even though they can be difficult sometimes, but creative clients that allow you to do what you want to do. And you come up with an idea, and you see an idea from like a discussion to it appearing on TV or in a shopping centre, or whether it's an art gallery or something like that. It's actually, that's amazing. Or when you do something that actually has a behaviour change. We did something for cancer research, Yorkshire Cancer Research. We've done campaigns for that have actually changed and saved lives. That sort of stuff is so much better than just selling widgets. Like, for a company, we do that as well. But actually, when you make actual change on someone's behaviour and do something that's quite worthy is just brilliant.
Tell me about that marketing campaign.
Oh my God, there's a picture outside in my corridor, actually. We did a campaign that it was for the Yorkshire Cancer Research, which is the biggest, as I said earlier, Yorkshire is the biggest region of the UK. And we had to do a campaign to celebrate the fact that they saved 25,000 lives in Yorkshire every year. And that's down to this research that they'd done. So what we did was we had a Yorkshire artist and we got her to come down to a key Yorkshire stately home. Think Downton Abbey, beautiful place, massive. And we had her build a art installation. I can't remember why we used Wellington boots, but it was something to do with Wellington boots with the symbol of it. And she had hundreds of them, and each one symbolized 1,000 people that had been saved. And it was a stunning installation, and that got on all the TV and local newspapers. And it was because of the research they'd done, and it raised awareness of certain types of cancer and how to treat them. And it's actually saving lives and telling people, and it created people to talk about something, which is what PR is. It's to get people talking about your campaign, or to stop talking about Donald or Joe. You know what I mean?
That is so freaking cool. When you go to dinner parties, people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" I save lives. You're a doctor?
No. I wouldn't say I've saved lives, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Man, that is a very rewarding campaign.
I think anybody that works in that sort of medical and area and areas, there's some brilliant PRs out there doing some great work, raising awareness of key things that do save lives. The medical side of things in the UK is very different to the US. The way that we're not allowed to do anything in the UK around medicines and pharmaceuticals. It's all
we can do whatever we want. So it's
Can you?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was going to say, a friend of mine lived in Hollywood, and he moved to Hollywood for a couple of years. He was telling me it was just very, very different. Like, there was adverts on TV in America all for health products, and we don't really get that in the UK.
The pharmaceutical industry in particular is a massive industry, but I think the thing that I love about that example that you gave was sometimes marketing is just thought of as, oh, you're going to go out and shake hands and kiss babies, or, oh yeah, you're a part of the team that just kind of raises awareness. But without distribution and without marketing, people don't hear your message. And yes, and it can apply to businesses, right? But it can apply to nonprofits. It can apply to good causes. It can apply to when you have a pandemic, or you can apply to cancer. The ability to tell a story in a compelling way is a superpower. And if you don't have that, especially in today's world, you're at a severe disadvantage. Whether it's marketing, whether you want to call it PR, whatever it is, that is a skill.
Yeah, and a bad story can ruin a business overnight. So many of them, there's so many businesses that have been ruined by one bad story, and it's just not been handled well. You think of product recalls, you can probably think of quite a few where people have said something and it just gets them cancelled, gets their business cancelled, and bang, the business is gone.
That was supposed to be a rapid fire question. Jeez Louise, but that was a great answer.
Sorry.
What do you hate about this business?
What do I hate about it? I hate, in business in general, I hate the fact that people can pay late. I think people should pay on time. I pay all our suppliers on time. I hate late payment. If you want a good relationship with your suppliers and with your customers, pay your suppliers on time. I think that's one of the things and that's in business as a whole. Whatever sector you're in, pay the people on time. It's annoying. Don't treat people like suppliers like second citizens. Otherwise, they'll start treating you like it. Treat people with respect, and you'll get it back. That's what I found, anyway.
Love that answer. I find that most humans are creatures of jealousy, and not saying you don't like your business, but as you sit here, what are some other businesses that you're most jealous of?
Wow. Jealous of? Who am I jealous of?
Here, I'll help you. Here's my example. I'm jealous of commercial real estate because I'm like, all they do is they buy a building, they sign a triple net lease, their tenant takes care of everything, and then they just collect a payment every single month. And they don't have to do anything.
We've actually got a couple of clients that do that, and they've got 95%. The 95% let at any time. So we're like, why are we doing PR and marketing for you? You're already let. But it's for the brand. It's to raise awareness of the brand with investors, and it means that they're doing excellent work. I think I am jealous of, God, blimey. That's one of the hardest questions, because I don't think I really am. I'm jealous of anybody that doesn't have to worry about new business. Like, you always have to worry, where's your next client coming from? Am I keeping the hopper full with our marketing? I don't want to do the cobbler's shoes. So I'm jealous of brilliant marketing businesses that have got amazingly dynamic CEOs, because these guys are stuck with me.
Many people say SaaS businesses, right? Because you've got recurring revenue in there, and that might fall into that category. That's amazing.
All SaaS businesses tend to copy each other, though, don't they? All their pricing pages look the same. It's like, and you still don't. They're all about the features and not the benefits. I always tend to think, and all they ever want to do is get a demo. Book a demo. So,
yeah, that's a stressful business as well.
I suppose they've got loads of money and it's reciprocal, which is good. Wait, that's a very good point. Where you can sell stuff and you keep getting paid overnight. That's a good example, Nick.
Maybe you have a client who has a retainer. Maybe you have some monthly stuff, but for the most part, you got to keep chasing. You're always on the treadmill. That's why I like that's why I like the commercial real estate. You sign somebody for 10 years and you just like set it and forget it.
Yeah, but Nick, really, you and I would be bored shitless if we actually had that. Because you'd be great for the first 3 months, and then you'd be like, is this it? Nothing's happening.
See, intellectually, I know that, but it's just hard for me to apply that. But I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. Second to last question. If you have 2 hours in your day and you don't have any work responsibilities, you don't have any family responsibilities, what are you obsessed with right now? What are you spending your mental time on?
And I don't have any work and no children.
Now, you don't have to do anything with work, right? Like,
okay,
I'll leave it there.
Okay, yeah. Well, because the way that I got into social media and I'm into innovation and tech, that's what I'm into. I am actually obsessed with AI. So I know people are talking about it, and there's all these bloody not cobbler's shoes, snake oil salesmen selling AI is going to be the game changer. Well, so what I've rolled out a whole AI program at work. So we've had an AI workshop day. We've got the paid platforms. We're rolling them out in the teams. We've had a workshop where we identify what processes we need to automate, and I'm trying to infiltrate AI in everything that we do now, because we're a people business. And if we can automate that, that's going to save me and the business a lot of time, money, and effort. And quite frankly, not everybody's they're talking about it, but they're just dabbling with it. I'm doing it because I love that sort of thing. I was playing around with it on Saturday at home, setting up my own custom GPTs to do things for my podcast. That's the sort of geek I am. And that doesn't feel like work. That's just because I'm into it. I started out in PR and tech. That was my first job because I love technology. That's why I got into social, because I love technology. That's why I had a blog, because that's why I've got a podcast. Yeah. I love technology. But I also hate technology in some respects, because I think there's good sides and bad sides. I see the bad side of social media as well with how it's gone. So, yeah,
one of my favorite phrases is the downside of the upside.
Yeah,
and that technology has its downsides, right? Like, but I mean, more upsides than downsides, but there's definitely things that unfortunately we have to deal with as negative side effects.
People just aren't bored anymore. That's one of the downsides.
Oh, gosh, I could do a whole podcast on that.
When was the last time anyone was bored? If they're bored, they just look at their phone.
Yeah, the last time anyone was bored was when their phone didn't work.
Yeah, and actually being bored is part of your own creative brain's process to work. You need to be bored, because then your ideas pop up. That's when your best ideas. That's why when you're in the shower, you go, oh, you have an idea. You're like, oh, I should, because you're not obsessed with all your other things. You're just neutral. I
had a friend of mine. He's the COO of this publicly traded company, very successful. I love this guy, but his phone is always just bing, bing.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It doesn't matter when we're hanging out, just always. And he's like telling me the story. He's like, hey, the other day I had this thought in the shower, and he explains it to me, and it was like this really good idea. And he's like, because that's the only time that I don't have access to my phone. And I just thought, that would be miserable to just constantly always be the slave to your phone and not have time to actually sit and think about things.
That's the issue. We've all got to learn to just be and not be entertained. But it's difficult because, if you just get into that, like you said, if you're on the treadmill.
Tough one. All right, last question for you. What advice would you give yourself? I usually say 10 years ago, but I've started changing it to before you got into entrepreneurship.
Right. Well, when I started out the business, I had maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first year, and then 10 in the second. And I was trying to be everyone's friend because I'm quite laid back, and I'm not in it. I was never in it to make loads of money. To be honest with you, in public relations, we do over 2.5 mil, but profit wise, probably 400K, something like that. The business is doing well, but you're never in it to be a billion. I'm not going to be Donald Trump. I'm not going to be a billionaire. But I do think when I started out in this business, I was trying to be friends with everyone and create this cool, fun family environment. And as you get bigger, you just can't do that. And I think it's just to be a boss and to be, I would say, don't be as worried about being everyone's best mate and concentrate more on being fair, good, and because I was just trying to be everyone's friend and create this. And it worked for years and years and years. But when you got 30 people,
you started out being Michael Scott on The Office.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I totally sympathize with that. Chris, this has been an awesome conversation. Where can people find you?
Great question. Well, there's 2 places you can find me. You can find me on LinkedIn, look up for Chris Norton on LinkedIn, or you can find my podcast, which is Embracing Marketing Mistakes, which is all about marketing mistakes, obviously. And it's just basically people telling us where they fucked up in life. And it is quite funny because I just thought it was a hilarious concept because most people want to big themselves up and tell you how great they are. But ask them to tell when their biggest mistake. And actually, it's a cathartic experience, but it's very entertaining as well. So yeah, embracingmarketingmistakes.co.uk. You can subscribe and listen, or you can find us on YouTube as well. We're there as well.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure to put links in the show notes for this, but you have a great day, my friend. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me on.
All right. That's it. Another one for the books. I'm fired up. I don't know what else to say. I hope you found something valuable in that conversation. I hope you learned something. I hope there's something that you can apply to your business today, tomorrow, in the future that makes you money, makes you more successful, gives you more time with your kids. If there was something, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Give me some feedback. And if you like actionable advice and you want more of this, I write a weekly newsletter that gives insights, tips, and tricks into the world of entrepreneurship. Subscribe in my bio. And if I can help you in any way in your entrepreneurial journey, don't hesitate to reach out to me, nick@cofounders.com. Sorry, Kelly, for more emails. And the last thing is, remember, curiosity is a superpower, and you can use it to your advantage. As my mom used to say, there's no such thing as a dumb question, only dumb people. We'll see you next time.